we're live.
Hello.
Welcome to All Things Non-Linear Dynamical, talks about the brain and human connection. My name's Andrew Edwards, a radio broadcaster for 30 plus years with the BBC in the UK and a previous guest on this fabulous podcast. Craig wants me to introduce myself as the magnificent bearded broadcaster, generously and masterfully offering the show intros from across the Atlantic. But I'm much too modest to say any of that. I must be honest with you though, today's episode seems even more crazy than many of them. It involves dead bodies, a very distinctive high-performance car, and Mama Cass, but not that Mama Cass. Anyway, I just read out what I'm told to read out. Back to the show then. It tackles the big questions, overcoming challenges, mental well-being, the power of music and literature, and even cutting-edge brain training tech. Join Craig and his special and amazing guests as they explore the physical and mental landscapes that make us who we are, offering practical tools and broad perspectives to help you navigate your own unique journey. It's going to get weird, and yes, this show definitely will be weird, but it may also get wonderful if, of course, you're into this sort of content. So buckle up and get ready to explore the incredible world within. This episode's very special guest is Norman Macera, aka Norm, or Max Holden, or John Good, or whoever he's channeling today. He's a creative genius by his own admission, although Norm claims that it was Earth's yellow sun that gave him his creativity. Norm's mother Cass said it was more likely that Norm had no friends as a child and spent most of his time writing stories in his room. When, at around the age of 14, Norm wrote a short story about bodies in the basement and necrophilia, rather than have the boy institutionalised, Norm's mom, Cass, Mama Cass you see, gave her continued support to him and set him on his creative journey. Since then, Norm studied acting with Lee Strasberg and took what he learned there to the stage and screen. His screenplay, Diamonds in the Rough, was sold to Willie Nelson. Recently, he's written and published two novels, The Gravity Box and The Gravity Box 2, young adult sci-fi adventure series. Presently, his long-time pet project, The Serial Killer's Handbook, is compiled from over 50 years of footage from many of his earlier works to create this found footage, insane mockumentary. On top of all this, Norm has written and directed several films and is presently working with good buddy Dave DiPietro on bringing his play Heaven in Chains to life. As an admitted aside, Craig told me that his earliest memories of Norm are at the tender age of 4 years old, their walks together, as Norm would offer him tours of the nearby cemetery. It was there that Craig asked Norm, "Is this where the dead people live?" Of course, Craig has yet to forgive Norm for stealing this line as a title of a promising story, and as a result, Craig proudly showcases his sweet revenge on the living room table, that being Norm's vintage, die-cast model of James Bond's famous Aston Martin. Craig ended up, masterfully it seems to me, badgering Norm's father to offer it to him as a bribe to get the hell out of here. Well, there it is. Continue watching and listening at your own risk. And now, off to our show host, Craig de Servidor, to get this possible train wreck of a podcast off to a proper start.
Hello.
Oh, I just love Andrew's intros. Well, train wreck or masterpiece, right? Hey, welcome, Norman. How are you?
How you doing, Cousin Craig?
Yeah, doing good, doing good. I just love thinking back to the days when you'd take me to the cemetery. What was the name of that cemetery?
You're making everything sound so weird.
Oh, what's the name of that cemetery?
That was Mount Moriah Cemetery. We shot a lot of stuff over there. I mean, you know, that thing goes back to the 17th century. It was nuts, dude. It was like, I mean, well, they get stuff from the 1700s there, and
yeah,
and then they cleaned it up and ruined it because it was really creepy for movies and stuff, you know?
Yeah. Well, I know Grandma Macera always made you go get me a hoagie. Great food.
Really? I don't remember.
Yeah, You don't remember that?
No.
She said, Norman, go get him something to eat.
I remember your parents being upset when I would bring you home. So, what you have to bring them back for?
It's great to see you and great to get started on this podcast. So, I know that you, from earliest memories, were always into being creative, and whether it was acting or writing. I have this clip of you. Let me just put this on here. And
It's not embarrassing, is it? Oh,
yeah.
I
Hang on a second. It went by too fast. I got to put it on loop and pause it. There we go. Let's pause. There. Oh, come on. I'm trying to get it to pause right. Well, anyway. So what were you doing there?
as a little kid, my uncle Jack, I love this guy, but I'd go down in the basement. He always hung out in the basement. He'd be playing Al Jolson records. And as a little kid, I fell in love with Al Jolson. And I thought I was Al Jolson. I would be singing on one knee down the street, and the people would be calling the police. No.
That's hilarious.
But you put the camera on me, I would go crazy.
Yeah.
I wasn't the bravest guy in the world, but if the camera was on me, I'd be doing really crazy stuff.
That's amazing. Well, you play the parts well. So,
Thank you.
you did you think you were going to get into acting? What were your passions as a young man?
Well, the thing was, my mom, big part of it, because when she was very young, she was offered a screen test, and her parents would not let her do it. I think they were afraid of they were like slavers or whatever out there doing it, and they were afraid of, for some reason, they wouldn't let her do it. And she was always upset about that, I think, but
Yeah.
you promoted me. You've seen some of the crazy stuff I've done, and she backed all this stuff. Yeah, love you, Mom. Really.
Oh yeah, she was wonderful. And she really she kind of made that willing sacrifice of her career to raise you and your brother John, right?
Oh, right. She worked all winter to buy us Christmas presents. We always had the best Christmas presents and stuff.
Yeah.
She was amazing.
Very
Absolutely.
loving. Very loving.
I think she
Good.
loved me more. She loved me, but I just.
Well, I'm sitting here, I'm looking, it's got John Good Lunas, but you're really Norm, but your brother's name is John, right? So
Right.
all right, let's not get everybody confused here, right?
John Good Lunacidal came about because I'm watching this interview of a serial killer. And I remember,
Right.
and he's talking, and it's just like, oh, and the thing is, everybody liked me. That's how I got over on them. And I thought, this is terrifying. I mean, this isn't vampire bats or werewolves. This is like some guy saying, "Oh, you'll invite me into your home because I'm a nice guy, and then I'll kill you." And I thought, that's not good.
Yeah.
And then I came up with this idea about a serial killer that everybody loved, and it's just like it was just over the top though, and so that's how we made Lunacidal.
Yeah, we're gonna go through your some of your trailers in a little bit.
Oh, thank you.
But you also were a black belt in judo, right? And how did that come about?
Well, I was bullied a lot as a kid, so I wanted to learn to defend myself. So I bought karate books, and I'd be in my basement, and I was 16. Somehow I could afford to go take judo lessons, probably my mom again. And I went and I met Mr. Ishikawa. And he was like all Japan champ twice. And
Yeah, let me play that clip, and then we'll keep talking about him, okay?
okay.
It's coming.
Norman Macera studied under Sensei Takahiko Ishikawa, who was a renowned judo champion from Japan. who made a significant impact on the martial arts community in Philadelphia. He is widely regarded as one of the most influential figures in the history of American judo. Key achievements: All Japan Judo Champion. Ishikawa won the prestigious All Japan Judo Championships in 1949 and 1950, solidifying his status as a top-tier competitor. Teaching and coaching. After his competitive career, Ishikawa immigrated to the United States and began teaching judo in Philadelphia. He founded the Philadelphia Judo Club and trained countless students, many of whom went on to become accomplished judoka themselves. High-ranking black belt. Ishikawa achieved the rank of 9th Dan, one of the highest levels of proficiency in judo. Legacy. Sensei Ishikawa's legacy in Philadelphia is enduring. His teachings and influence continue to shape the local judo scene, and his name is synonymous with excellence in the sport. Many of his former students have gone on to become successful instructors and competitors, carrying on his tradition of dedication and skill.
That's amazing. Did he ever tell you how he actually ended up in Philadelphia from Japan?
I don't know about that, but I'll tell you two really great stories. One,
Okay.
I think I told you this before. When I started judo, I was a white belt. I could throw Ishikawa. That was his teaching method. He would let me throw him so I could learn to do it.
Wow.
By the time I was black belt, I could not throw Ishikawa. But
He would let you do it.
all the beginners could do it.
Well, it was all acting then, and all helping to build the confidence of the young white belts and whatnot.
Oh, he most incredible teacher. Absolutely incredible.
Did he speak fluent English or?
Yes, very well. A little bit of the accent, but the story I heard was that he was not doing well in judo. This will really interest you. And he just put it in his mind that he was never going to lose again. And he never lost a competition again. The closest he came to losing was with All Japan champ. He had a tie one time with that.
Okay.
But he never lost again because he put it in his brain, I'm not losing anymore,
Wow. Wow,
So,
what an amazing story.
yeah.
And you used a lot of your martial arts in your movies.
Mhm.
Your early parkour, all the stunts you guys, crazy
Oh my God,
guys.
dude. I can't. They said, well, everybody who watched these said, well, you were the early jackass because we were doing like such crazy stuff. I mean, you've seen some of it, like.
Yeah. It's amazing. We'll show some of it here in a little bit. But hey, I want to move to your books real quick, and then we'll get to the films.
Okay.
So, what prompted you to write the Gravity Box series?
I have no idea. I have no idea where they come from, these ideas. It flies in my head, and then I have to sit down and type it. It's just like, this is my narcotic. If I'm writing, it's like a drug to me. My house is a mess, everything, but when it comes to writing, I get energy, and acting, I get
That's
energy.
amazing. Let's go through the intro for that real quick so the audience knows what we're talking about.
Norman Macera created the amazing and adventuresome series called The Gravity Box, Books 1 and 2. The Gravity Box is the tale of two boys out to save the world. While these two wannabe scientists are running their own secret experiments, Sean and Jimmy have come across an eccentric old professor. The professor has invented a machine that not only allows people to fly, but also has the power to increase and decrease the gravity of any object that they focus the machine's mysterious green beam on. Terrified of heights, the professor allows the boys to carry out his own secret experiments with the gravity box. When mysterious men in black come onto the scene to steal the professor's invention, Jimmy and Sean are pitted against these super spies. The two young boys must rely on their own ingenuity and, of course, the gravity box to save the world and themselves from the evil invaders. In the sequel, The Gravity Box 2 is a race to the end of the world and beyond. Once again, it is up to our two boy heroes, Sean and Jimmy, to save the world. A massive comet headed towards Earth must be stopped before crushing the planet. And it seems that the only hope for all mankind are the gravity boxes. The problem being that before the boys can go into action, they are thrown back into the 12th century by the professor's new time travel machine. Upon arriving in the past, the boys are immediately accused of being witches and sentenced to death. Before they can save the planet, they must battle an evil Black Knight, escape the dungeon, the executioner, and recover the time travel device. If all goes well, they might have a chance of returning to their own time to keep the world from being squashed by the giant comet. It seems that the boys have a busy day ahead of them, and after that, they still have to get to the gravity boxes.
That was fantastic. You know, and
Thank you.
I was so thrilled that as you were writing this, that you would shoot me out a copy to kind of get my thoughts and be a part of of your
Well,
creative
thank you
process.
for helping proofread it.
Hey, at first it was, just, okay, my cousin needs some help. Let me get into this and see what it's all about. And then it became a page turner for me.
Thank you.
These are great books,
Thank you. Thank you.
and I really enjoyed it. And to hear you say that you don't even know how it came about. Do you feel like you just get these moments of creativity that just come upon you? We're talking about the brain, the nonlinear dynamical journey.
I was telling Dave DePietro, right, that we, like sometimes our best ideas come like we're talking about the Heaven and Chains, right?
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea how that was going to end, right? And I remember working at this summer camp. I think I walked out of the room for something, or probably walked into the men's room, and all at once it hits me, the ending. I was, oh my God, this is how it ends. And, it's like the universe is giving you, but I'm going to take credit for it,
Right. Okay.
I
I'll
want
let
to say
you.
something about my book covers, though. I had an incredible artist, Hector Ortega. Oh my
Yes.
God. I mean, and he was wonderful because he not only did my book covers, but then he put them together for me, everything. He was fantastic. So thank you, Hector.
And I'm thanking Hector too, because you hooked me up with him, and he did a lot of amazing artwork for my venture into the podcast. The logo, the head.
Mhm.
Just a tremendously wonderful guy, family man,
Yeah, great guy.
proud father, great artist, and really a neat human being. Well, let's talk a little bit about the Serial Killer's Handbook. Let me go into an intro so people can get an idea what we'll be talking about
I won't be locked up when they see this one.
here.
The journey you are about to take will be quite frightening. That is the only promise that this humble narrator can make concerning this terrifying tale which has been nurtured by insanity and steeped in the blood of innocence. And although the urge to turn away will be great, it seems that the magnetism of our two villains has the power to draw even the purest of spirits into their deadly and horrifying lair of death. So try and look away. If you think that safety lies in ignorance and turning a blind eye, you are wrong. You are so wrong. The long and brutal trail of Rupert Donnelly and Max Holden is a perilous road built on the corpses of their countless victims. It starts with a chance encounter in a prison psychiatric ward, where the two men were to meet and form a bond that would send the world spiraling into chilling tailspin. For not only were these two men monsters committing unspeakable acts, they were putting their monstrous show on for all the world to witness. And to many of the entranced observers, turning a blind eye was not an option.
I love this.
Thank you. Okay, this is how the Serial Killer's Handbook came about. For over 50 years, we were collecting insane, incredible footage. We were fighting with moving cars, we were hanging people off trestles, throwing people off bridges, we were doing all kind of crazy shit.
Early parkour.
Risking lives of my neighbors and people I love for films I'm showing in my basement.
Look, punks! I'm not Chester!
Crazy.
And then we thought, well, it's just going to be shoved into a box and nothing can be done with this. You know, we'll look at it every couple of years and reminisce. And then this creative genius comes up with the idea like, wait a second, this shit looks so fucking real. Well, actually, I came up with that idea. I mean, we were blowing up shit. We could make a fake doc/mockumentary utilizing this footage about 2 serial killers on the run. Shots from being in prison.
It's a great scene. Oh
And all kind of crazy shit that was going to be incorporated. Plus we started filming new scenes and interviews to be put together in this magnum opus. Okay, and I doubt anything like this has ever been done before on this planet, or even as far as Alpha Centauri, okay?
no. Decades in the making.
It's true though.
For sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's such an amazing story, and you know, you kind of kick some shorts and whatnot out to me, but you've had this storied career of making these scenes. Did you know at the time that you were making this serial killer that this was going to turn into that, or was this just
No,
you know, like,
it's like, you know, I know this sounds crazy, but it's like the universe brought this together for me because
yeah,
I'm going to tell you the truth. About 14 years ago, I'm looking at this footage and I think, oh, this is really cool, but what am I going to do with it? I mean, it's going to lie in a box. I said, every couple of years I'll take it out and look at it. And I thought, wait, because we didn't know what we were doing. It looked real. I mean, it's like,
Yeah.
okay, here, take a gun, shoot this. Okay, you know, throw him off the bridge. Like, you know, like,
oh my gosh,
and I remember once we had the guy hanging off a 60-foot trestle because supposedly I just killed him. He hung him off the trestle, and he's hanging there. And who should come along but the railroad police, right? So I take the camera like I'm shooting them, right? And they go by, never realizing that I had a body hanging off the side of the trestle.
oh my gosh,
Oh my God.
that's hilarious. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, were you quaking in your boots thinking, you know?
And then some local kid built pipe bombs. We blew them up in the park. We created a whole Vietnam scene and the
That
prison.
Vietnam scene, I was thinking, man, did you steal that from like Apocalypse Now or something? That was excellent.
Oh, thank you. We steal a lot, but we know most of the footage is my footage. But there's a couple scenes, like especially my buddy Dennis is in them, and I
Yeah.
didn't have them, you know. So these guys that made movies with Dennis allowed me to have some of that stuff. But the stuff in the prison, like my
Yeah.
buddy John Rubo used to run. I'm sorry, I'm rambling, but I get excited.
No, you're fine.
He used to give me the keys to Eastern State Penitentiary, and he'd say, "Okay, lock up when you're done." Because it was a closed
That's
penitentiary.
crazy.
Yeah. But then we shot some stuff there. And I really like that. This is a great story. The Rumble
Yeah.
scene, that was really from my friend's movie, Larry, who's actually in prison now, right?
Yeah.
And I called his mom. I said, would you mind if I use this footage? No, you can't use it. We're using it for our thing. I said, that's fine. I just wanted to ask. I get a call from Larry from prison, right?
Yeah.
Use it. I want to be in this movie. So now I have this footage. They let us in the Holmesburg prison. That was a working prison. I don't think you could ever do this stuff now.
No.
I'm walking around in a guard uniform. So I come up with this whole thing how I steal a guard's uniform to escape from prison. And that's how I work my characters into it. And then we had this Rumble that was one of the most terrifying things because there was no choreography. He just said, "Okay, everybody fight." Like, you know,
It's just amazing. It's just absolutely amazing.
thank you. It was so much
fun. And how you're putting it all together and getting it out there. What's the plan for that?
Well, I was making it a podcast. I was going to show it in sections. I thought, you know what, let me just make it a movie. And I could use the stuff I collected for the podcast to try and sell it. But it looks monstrous because, like I said, I got hundreds of people in this thing. And
yeah,
I mean, we're fighting on cars, throwing people off roofs. I mean, we shot that scene on the roof. It was one of my students, right?
Yeah.
When I was teaching at Temple, he wanted to get a better grade. So I thought, well, how can I give this kid a better grade? And I had him hang off the roof and run through the minefield.
I'm not sure I'd be up for that.
Right, but to be
extra credit?
Truth be known, he got that A.
Nice. Well, let's see, you're very generous that way, I guess. Hey, and I know this is an homage to Den, your soulmate friend, your mother, my mother.
Yeah.
I want to show the fun trailers with primarily your mom and Den's in this, but also my mom, who never acted before. Here I am.
She did great in this.
Oh yeah, we got to people. Well, let's let them see it.
Okay.
Rupert began to gravitate towards older women. Anything with baggy pants and support stockings.
There's Den.
Well, he was a cheap hustler, and all he wanted to do was get into my pants, and he did that.
I provide a service. That's all this is. It's a service.
Like a whore.
I never touched a little freak.
Oh.
Why are you saying those things? I never did. To be honest, the little freak couldn't keep his hands off me. I told him to get away from me, but he wouldn't move.
They were good times, but I didn't know him. I didn't know what I was getting into.
You got off, I got paid. Let me get the fuck out of here, okay?
Rupert gave me the clap, and I don't like it. He was bootylicious, I'll give him that.
Truth be told, the little bastard was always over here trying to seduce me.
Rupert's my boyfriend, bitch.
I'll cut your throat.
Bring it on.
Oh.
Does this look familiar? Do you have a groggy, lazy
There
senior
she is.
citizen on your hands?
Mama Cass.
Does your
He's so
senior
good.
citizen sleep all damn
And
day?
there's Den.
But when they're awake, that's when the real nightmare begins?
I peed again, and number 2 is on its way.
It's time to end those typical senior citizen excuses. Arthritis, bursitis, joint replacement, rickets, rabies, transvaginal mesh, fallen uterus, blah, blah, blah. Excuses.
The hell with this, I'm ordering pizza.
They've got a million of them! Is she laying around the house, leaving a dent in the sofa cushions, ruining the plumbing, and not lifting a finger?
Come over here, you little bastard, and rub this on my feet.
Now we have an amazing new product, Crunk Rocks. Add some spunk with crunk. Simply add Crunk Rocks to that same healthy green salad and let the magical transformation begin.
Look at
I
her
gotta
go.
get my greens. I gotta get my greens. You hear me? I gotta get my greens. Get out of my way! I'm cleaning.
Replace all those meds with Crunk Rocks. Crunk Rocks, our little secret.
If you
That's
touch
hilarious.
my tail, I'll cut your throat.
Oh, that's so amazing.
Oh my God. Oh, this is my favorite one.
Yeah.
This is
Sassy
Den's
Cass.
idea. This is Den's idea too.
kind of zombie movie.
All right, asshole, you're going down.
I love that. Oh my God. That's fantastic. I mean,
you go online, you can see the whole thing. It's only 1:09, though, you know?
yeah, but that's fantastic. And, you know, it was such a treat. You know, Mom had never acted. And, you know, when you came up with the idea and I approached her, she said, oh, I don't know if I can do that. And then, you know, the lines were rather spicy for, oh, he's going to make me look like a whore. So I made sure we got that footage.
That was the idea.
Yeah. Oh, that was hilarious. And, you know, Den was a creative genius as well.
Oh, yeah. He came up, well, Sassy Cass, he called me up with these ideas. He said, what if your mother fought zombies? I said, what? Like, and I didn't, so many of his ideas, I thought, and then after we did them, they were like funny, like, you know, Crunk Rocks, that was his, you know?
That was all his, huh?
And, you know, my favorite part of that is my mom, he comes over here. He was always deployed, like, I get the camera. My back hurts. I can't do it. Just for 5 minutes, he'd say, which was always the big lie, you know, in show business.
Yeah.
Always 5 minutes, right? An hour later, she's running around. She's having a ball, you know, because she loved the camera, you know.
She did, and she does such a wonderful job. I don't have any footage of this, but didn't she win an award for?
Yeah, that at the Terror Film Festival for our film Lunacidal.
Mm-hmm.
She won an award for outstanding achievement in acting.
Wow!
And the film won a standing achievement for.
Now I have the trailers. You want to go through those, and it includes Lunacidal for all of your movies.
That'd be great.
It's about 10 minutes of footage. Let's just go through that, and you know, why don't you just give me a signal if you want me to pause, if you want to talk through it, you know, one way or the other.
Okay.
So let's load it up.
I mean, I just think it was just so much fun making these things, you know?
Oh yeah. I mean, just creative genius. Here we go. You know, all your movies should have this warning.
Yeah.
And this is Lunacidal, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to lower the volume just a little bit.
Meet John Good.
Oh, gosh.
John is a man with many interests.
Peepin' Tom.
Dancing.
Now, what smooth moves?
Culture. Community affairs. Mentoring to the local youth.
Go and read your Bible. Maybe if you had religion in your life, you could handle the shame of masturbation.
That's true, Johnny. He never goes to church. You never go to church.
John enjoys the occasional sporting event. But most of all, John loves the ladies.
Come on, baby. You love it.
Everything was orderly and perfect in John's little world. That was until the new people moved in.
Somebody's dog meat.
And believe me, they are something straight out of hell.
The coast is ours.
There she is, Mama
Damn,
Cat.
is that a jackal to give you life?
There was really no need to do that. I want you to get out of here now. You can't win this.
Killer's gonna get you. Killer's gonna get you.
I have worried parents calling me every 2 minutes.
I love this
have
guy.
more lost kids than can fit in an orphanage, and now somebody gets sloppy and drops body parts all over town.
Ah, they're playing my song. Hands off, you mangy mutt! That's my woman!
Is he out there? Do you see him?
All clear, kid.
John, it's me!
That was.
I'll go ahead and pause it.
No, that was the one I told you where I saw the interview about the serial killer. And they let us shoot in the prison, everything. It was amazing. The city helped us, and this guy knew that guy. He got us in all these. We actually created a shot. He said, "Don't go up in the tower." So I said, "All right, we won't." Like everything else. So we go up in the tower, right? And the night before, we went up. The cinematographer Bob we took a thing. We actually did it first sky cam before they came up with it. We put a poi on it, and it shoots down across the whole prison yard, like it's just like the camera's flying. It was really cool.
That's amazing. I'm going to let it roll without sound for a second, and then I'll put the volume up.
That scene where I'm in the shower with the girl, we were shooting at the cinematographer's house, and it's like early in the morning. His mother comes down, sees me in the tub with the girl, and he goes, she knows me by this point. She goes, "Good morning, Norman." Right? Like there was no
in a field of blood.
So which one's this?
This is Murder Below the Line.
Okay, let me start playing.
Carnage, local mayhem artist and raconteur, aka the Cineslayer, has created a new vision of gothic horror. This magnum opus, a forest of slain and dismembered bodies.
Zoe, get away from me! Oh my God!
Ghoulish cinema surfaces in small-town bent oaks as artistic temperament goes seriously awry. A deranged killer dubbed Cineslayer by locals documents on video a local youth's ghastly, vicious murder.
Very funny. Where's my camera?
It's enough to scare the daylights out of a gal.
There's Mama.
Some nutcases out there slicing up these local punks and putting us all in danger.
From day one, you were looking at me like I did this. The school doesn't have any say over what I do in my own time.
As long as you're not killing anybody on campus, I'm sure you'll be fine.
It's just for fun. You create an illusion. You scare people.
With bodies dropping in record numbers, authorities remain clueless of the masked assassin's identity.
Now some boys, they might get their fun
playing
playing football or hockey.
Then maybe I can be the crazy fiend who's slaughtering off half the teams in suburbia.
You said I wasn't under arrest, right?
What's the rush?
I know you're out there, fuckers!
Some fucker's trying to ruin my life.
I'm a witness. I was there when it happened.
That makes you my co-conspirator in all this shit.
Curfews have been initiated. Playgrounds are closed as parents keep their children behind closed doors and hopefully out of harm's reach.
I think I'm your man, Ron.
Tim, the movie's dead in the water.
Real crazy is what we're looking for here, Ron.
I am the aggressor! I am the aggressor!
I wanted to make movies, not kill people. You're still looking at me like I did this.
What the hell's going on over there?
And that's entertainment, at least in Bent Oaks.
Now that was Michael Tierson. That's Michael Tierson. He was a big radio guy back in the day, and we had James Chen in there, who had a big part. And that was before he, since then he's done Special Victims Unit. He's done a couple movies for Netflix, starred in them, and
oh, wow.
But it was before he got that. And then he was in Walking Dead too. Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah, I love the radio announcer, and then the reporter. That was just really good stuff. I mean, it's all good.
That reporter guy had never done anything before. Just
Really?
Had a great voice, yeah.
He did have a...
Dave Rome, who he was the executive producer, knew the guy and thought we could use him. It was great,
Oh, that's fantastic.
So
let's carry on, because I think there's 2 or 3 more in this clip.
I think there's 2.
All themes of death and whatnot. I should have known.
People were asking me, like, how many people die in this thing?
In the summer of 1977, Elvis Aaron Presley died under mysterious circumstances at his Graceland mansion in Memphis, Tennessee. Or did he?
Okay, let me pause it. Go ahead.
No, this is based on a true story, so people realize while they're watching it.
Okay, super. Let's carry on.
Now, Elvis is back as evil is unleashed and stalks the streets of Southwest Philadelphia as an unsuspecting film crew goes in search of ancient Elvis.
I'll tell you what I think. If you give a rat's ass. You got a guy looking a hell of a lot like Elvis Aaron Presley, hiding out somewhere in Southwest Philadelphia. Well, let's just say for argument's sake that's true. Who do you suppose is buried in that box back in Memphis?
A local crew in the area caught sight of and captured on tape some amazing footage. We quickly brought it into the computer, matched it up with existing photographs of Presley. The similarities are amazing.
The truth of the matter is, it's not as easy to replace a body in a morgue as one might think.
Oh, the plot was insane, of course. And some of us had the good sense to be horrified.
Anybody that treats a woman the way that fat bastard did is capable of anything, even murder.
Or it could be the same guys that killed Jack and Ted Kennedy whacked Elvis. That's what I think.
His aura illuminated the entire frozen yogurt case.
Seems to me that the Colonel had the most to gain by killing off Elvis. Have that tramp Priscilla in the mansion all to himself.
Hey, are you the guys doing that Elvis thing?
Shut up, Frank.
Elvis likes Spider-Man, a lot, man.
Shut your face, Frank.
Doors were now being slammed in our faces, and we felt it was prudent to abandon the entire investigation.
We already told the people of 60 Minutes that while our patients are asleep, the only thing we're drilling are the teeth. Shut up! That's for the record. All I can say is that information's confidential.
You're my only true friend. Just a kid. I'm just a kid.
Oh. Well, kid, you've just been tried and convicted as an adult minor. You guys got a problem with that?
Elvis? One I love. It's okay to love another man, especially when it's I know what you're thinking of. Elvis, you're the man I love. Oh, Elvis, I'm here for you.
How hard would it be for someone with the kind of wealth and power of Mr. Presley to take some poor transient off the street, fatten him up, shove his unloved, now the soul's going to miss his sorry ass butt into an early grave.
This is, like I say, it's based on a true story.
Well, tell me about that. I want to hear about that.
Well, what happened was Dan's dad, Dan, he used to do Ben Franklin and things like that.
Uh-huh.
He had this thing. He started walking around with this Elvis costume on. And we thought, this is fantastic. And we just decided we're going to make a whole fake documentary about Elvis. He fakes his death and he moves to Southwest Philly, which,
well, since Ishikawa came to Southwest Philly.
Yeah, Ishikawa came here, so I guess.
Yeah.
Well, he didn't come to Southwest. He came to Philly, but that guy singing a song, that's Josh Cook, who later went on to star in some big movies like the remake of Bachelor Party. He did Dexter, stuff like that, So we have these stars before they're stars in some of these movies.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I'm gonna let it play with low volume on it.
That's fine.
We'll get into the next trailer. I mean, it's fascinating stuff. It's fascinating to hear kind of the background story of it.
This one here, the Strike Zone, actually started out as an improvisation. I thought, this sounds really good, So I like, watch it now. It's short.
All right.
Eddie, I don't care if you're a freak. I mean, we're still friends. It doesn't change anything. Yeah, I had an uncle once, man. He was a perv. And the neighbors and stuff, they used to throw shit at his house and hide the kids when they saw him coming.
I knew from day one you were going to turn out rotten. I didn't know how rotten, but when I first laid eyes on you through the nursery window, I said to myself, this kid's a loser. A born loser.
Why don't you stop talking and taking this crap out on me and go home and kill him?
I want to do it, Chuck. I want the old man dead.
Batter up, dude.
It didn't turn out the way we had hoped, man.
Sometimes the universe opens up, and if it doesn't swallow you up, it gives you a second chance. Table!
I love that guy.
That's it, Chucky. The cable's gone.
The gates of heaven are closing, boy. They're closing in on you.
I'm a dead man.
Hey, no big deal.
No.
So that started as an improvisation?
That started as an improvisation. I mean, when Dennis and I met, right? It was so strange. We met. We talked about this. I wanted a poster that they were selling at a theater. So this guy comes out, and he's the assistant manager, and he wants the poster too. They want me to talk to him. So me and this guy become friends because he's into filmmaking more too. He introduces me to Dennis. Now, Dennis is brilliant, absolutely brilliant guy. He's going to school for biology. He thought of maybe becoming a doctor. But what he really wants to do is act.
Mm-hmm.
And the next thing you know, he's in my basement every night, and we're doing acting. And I thought his parents were going to hate me. But then his father got into a lot of this stuff anyway. Sorry, excuse me.
Yeah, no worries.
But so we're doing this thing. I said, it's pretty good, but why does the father hate this kid? Well, we had no idea where it was going, right? So he walks over. We had a bathroom in the back. He goes to the bathroom in the back. I said, maybe the kid's a cross-dresser, and that's why they hate him, right? So I come back and I tell my idea to Dennis. He says, yeah, I was thinking that too. He said, but I didn't want to say it because I'd be the one dressing up like that.
It's funny.
But he was, excuse me, an incredible trooper. Whatever you wanted to do, he was up.
But he was coming up with crazy stuff too.
Well, it's Sassy Cass.
Yeah.
I mean, Stalkers of Us. You've seen that one. I mean, he called every day with crazy stuff, and we were just like, it's like serial killers, right? We talk about serial killers. Well, the truth of the matter is, I have improvs with Dennis from 30 years ago that we had no idea we were doing this, that are magically working their way into this project. I mean, it's amazing. Like the universe is, hey, okay, Norm, put this in here, do that, and it seems like a puzzle, but it's coming together.
It's amazing.
Oh,
I'm gonna play sound off for just a little bit. We'll get into the next
is there any more?
Trailer. Yeah, there's.
Do you find yourself in a romantic rush?
Oh, this is Stalker.
First date. Avoid unnecessary risk. Pesky guard dogs. Home security systems. Let us find this bedroom windows for you.
There's just gotta be a better way to do this.
Hi, I'm Derek. I'm president and CEO of Stalkers R Us. Is there someone in your life that you're so fond of you think about them 24 hours a day?
I need my woman back.
Are you a bumbling mess leading a path of destruction while you sift through her personal belongings? There's no need for you to rummage and ransack. We bag and tag all of her shit. We practically deliver her to your doorstep, one piece at a time. Personal items.
Slippers, loafers, 3-inch pumps.
The hairbrush, toenail, and fingernail clippings. Surveillance photos. Her inhaler. Do you spend all day obsessing about what she might be wearing?
Sandals.
3-inch pumps
Halter top and capri pants.
with strapless sandals.
Purple, pink. Those are her favorite colors. So I know she's got all of them.
I was going crazy, crazy, crazy.
Are you worried about the competition? We'll get rid of that motherfucker for you. Every one of our agents is proficient in martial arts, stealth tactics, and parkour.
All my own stunt work, dude.
Yeah, I can
With
tell.
our platinum service, we can live stream her daily activities right to your mobile device.
Now your picture sent right to my mobile device. Ain't that great?
We don't miss a thing. Your obsession is our obsession.
I was on house arrest. I thought I couldn't do anything. Until I met Stalkers R Us. You take the strain out of restraining orders.
Every move you make, every breath you take.
Oh my God, Sting does not have to worry.
Watch.
Oh, that's wild stuff.
That was all Dennis. He wrote and directed that one, you know?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, and you've had support from the community, right?
Oh my God, yeah. Oh my God, it was crazy how the whole neighborhood. I almost cry when I watch this stuff because it was like.
I'm gonna play it. This one doesn't have sound on it, so
okay,
just talk through it.
Okay, well, I have to tell you, when I was a kid, they moved us to this neighborhood, and I did not want to be there. I wanted to be back in my old neighborhood, and I made a friend or something. And then, all once, this is a scene from something I did called Waltz of Death, which I stole for Serial Killer's Handbook. Where I had this girl had been abducted, and she's being brought, and all the neighbors are coming. Well, this is the actual neighborhood. They came out to help me. I think it was on a Sunday or something, to shoot this thing, right? And I'm serious. Like I almost cried that these people. It wasn't just like kids and stuff. It was the whole neighborhood came out to help me shoot.
To support you, yeah.
To support me. The crazy guy making movies up the street.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it wasn't just kids. It was like the grandparents, the parents, and what's great about this one, you'll see in a minute, was that somebody looked out and thought it was real out the window, and they called the police. So the police show up, right?
Right.
And this is what's great, that when the police show up, the neighbors talk the police into being in the movie.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
And I know that scene's coming up. There they are.
Well, I just filled that in, but yeah, the police would always cooperate. I have tons of footage of police. They cooperated, and
well, they wanted to be in your movies.
Oh well, yeah. So I would let them in. But this is like,
and they just if this was in a kind of spur of the moment thing that happened for you,
yeah. But you've seen some of the stuff where I have the entire neighborhood chasing them. Where was I was dressed up as a nurse, and we're running away, and there's a wedding. Me and my buddy are running away, and I had the whole neighborhood. Oh, this is the police. They come in here. But the whole
and they were called by someone who was concerned, right?
Yeah.
And then they come out and they just join in, right?
Yeah, they work themselves into the.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Look at the smile on his face. I'm on camera.
Yeah, well, that last up. I usually cut to the end shot for
That's fantastic.
But I mean, like you see the shot where we're running, and I'm running by the church. We had a fake wedding going on outside the church. Bride, groom, priest, all this stuff, right? It was actually where the nuns hang out, their place, where the nuns hang out. And
well, there's a movie there, right? Or a book or a play.
I come out, the nun comes out. What's going on here? We're making a movie. Well, who's in charge? Well, the whole neighborhood rats me out, right?
Yeah.
I have to go over to the nun in drag. Explain.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. Oh, this is all good stuff. Well, we're on about an hour, and I want to wrap up. What would you like to talk about in regards to where things are going for you? I know that you and I share this journey of where creativity helps to kind of, alleviate and allow us to dive into that creative process to kind of deal with some difficult things, not feeling upbeat and whatnot. And I mean, I know how much you use creativity. I mean, you're kind of a role model for me on that, and I really am impressed by the breadth and length, time wise, of the things you've done over the years.
Well, but yeah, remember, I never did anything else. So.
Well, it's pretty prolific and prodigious as far as I'm concerned. So you're working on the Gravity Box 3, right?
Right, working on that, and we're trying to get Heaven in Chains, the play I wrote, done. I wrote a couple plays, and he's wonderful with helping me trying to get this stuff out there. So.
No, that's Dave DePietro, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's fascinating. Now, so Heaven in Chains is a play that you're working on. You're working on the third.
It's done.
It's done, and you're wanting to get that out.
Mm-hmm.
How do they say it in production?
Yeah, I guess just getting up on the stage,
Yeah, getting up the stage. You're working on the third in the series of the Gravity Box. Where are you at with that?
I'm about halfway through, I think, at this point.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
It's so much fun,
Well, all of your work is an homage of sorts to people.
Oh yeah, I mean, I really want to get this stuff out. I want to get it out from me. I'll be honest with you, but
yeah,
so many of these people help me. I'm watching this thing 50 years, and I've lost a lot of those people I really love, or I knew very well, and it's important to me. It's just really
and a little piece of it, because Mom's in it, and it's wonderful to revisit and see her on the spur of the moment, acting and enjoying it, and to see your mom, my aunt, I love her, and it's just fantastic.
I told you I want this to immortalized. I'm serious. I would like this in 100 years. People could be looking at this thing and people saying, "Did you see what these crazy bastards did?" This, like, I'm serious. Like, I recently saw something with Shirley Temple. Now it's 100 years ago, and it just made me smile. I figure, now she's been gone for years, but she still has the power to make me,
Well, it's fantastic, and thank you so much for doing this podcast with me.
Thank you, dude. Thank you. It's so good to have this time together.
Oh yeah, I love it. And now I need you to stay in Riverside as we end the podcast, because your local audio and video files need to upload before we can close out.
Okay.
But I'm gonna end the recording here now, and thank you everybody for watching.
Thank you, Andrew.
Yes, Andrew. Thank you so much. All right. Thanks again.
Yeah, thank you. Are you going to stay on, Craig?
I'm on.
Okay.
I'm stopping it.